welcome back. How are you? I can't believe it's already Friday and time to learn Parsha again together. You know the drill. Pay attention because we're going to review what we learned with a quiz at the end. This week we are starting the book of Devarim, or Deuteronomy in English. It is the fifth and final book of the Torah. Oh no! We are almost finished reading the Torah! What am I going to do when we finish reading it? I'm going to be so sad when we're done with the Torah and we can't learn Parsha together. Wait a second. We don't ever stop reading the Torah. When we are finished reading the Torah and Simchas Torah, we immediately start over again with Bereshit. Phew! That was a real close one. I got really sad for a minute, but I'm so happy we're still going to be able to learn Parsha together. The Parsha begins with Moshe's final speech. Spoiler alert! The reason it's his last speech is because it's 37 days or about 5 weeks before Moshe is going to pass away. Moshe begins his speech by reminding the Jewish people of their history and wandering through the desert, also the laws that they received. This is kind of like a review session. I remember doing review sessions in school. At the end of the year, before we took our final test, the teachers would always go over all the really important things we learned all that year. This was how we would remember everything we needed to know for the test. The Jewish people were not going to sit down and take a written test that would determine if they can graduate or move on to the next grade. However, the Jewish people were about to enter the land of Israel, and Moshe wasn't going to be joining them. He wanted to make sure that they knew the laws and they were going to be okay without him. Let's go back in time. I'll set the scene for you. The Jewish people are waiting at the base of Har Sinai, and the plan is they're soon going to enter the land of Canaan. Moshe reminds the Jewish people that they did something wrong, and he did not approve of their behavior. Remember, the Jewish people were punished. They had to wander in the desert for 40 more years instead of immediately entering the land of Israel. Since God kept his promise to Abraham that he would have as many children as the number of stars in the sky, there were so many people for Moshe to be the leader of. It was too hard for Moshe to be the leader all by himself. The Jewish people agreed that it was too much responsibility for one person. Moshe picked different levels of judges to help him. He reminded the Jewish people of the basic rules and responsibilities for the judges. Moshe reminds the Jewish people about wandering through the desert and reaching the southern border of the Holy Land. The Jewish people demanded that they wanted to send spies into the land to see if it was worth conquering. Moshe reminds them that the spies came back feeling doubtful that they would be able to conquer the land. Do you remember? They thought the land was great, but they were too scared to battle with the people of Canaan. So they gave bad reports out of fear. The Jewish people decided to listen to the spies instead of Moshe, and that's why they were punished and were not able to enter the Promised Land. They had to wander in the desert for 40 more years, and this group would not be able to enter into the Promised Land. God told the Jewish people to turn around and head back to the desert. Some Jewish people did not want to turn around, and they wanted to just enter the land already. Moshe warned them to not go against God, because they would not be protected by God if they went against him. The people didn't listen, and they went anyway. They were attacked and killed by the Amorites right away. When the rest of the Jewish people saw this, they decided to listen to Moshe and God's commandments. Moshe then fast-forwards 38 years. The people who left Egypt are no longer alive, but their children are now ready to enter the land of Israel, or Canaan. Are you excited? I'm excited. We have been waiting for this thing for so long. I can't believe it's actually going to happen so soon. God tells the Israelites that the land of the 3 nations were off limits to them. The land of Seir, which is Edom, Moab, and Ammon were all off limits because they belonged to the descendants of Esau and Lot. The Jewish people went around this land and asked the king of the Amorites, named Shihon, if they could pass through his land. Unfortunately, he refused to let the Jewish people pass. Moshe reminds the Jewish people that when Shihon's army battled against the Jewish people won and took over the land. Then another nation attacked, and the same thing happened. These 2 lands became the lands given to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Moshe describes their borders to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh, and reminds them to enter the land of Canaan with the rest of the Jewish people. They were to help the other tribes with the battle against the Canaanites before they would go back to their land on the other side of the Jordan River. Moshe reminds everyone that Yehoshua will be the new leader in the land of Israel. He also reminds Yehoshua not to be afraid because it is the Lord your God who is fighting for you. He is reminded that God will protect them, just like God protected them for all the other battles they faced on their way to the land of Israel. Okay, I hope you were paying attention because it's quiz time! Are you ready to review the parsha? Let's begin. What number book of the Torah do we start reading this week? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? That's right, we start the 5th book of the Torah. What do we do when we finish reading the Torah? Start over from the beginning? Find something else to read? Take a break from reading or fast? That's right, we start over from the beginning. Who did Moshe appoint to help him lead the Jewish people? Police officers, teachers, judges, or senators? That's right, it was judges. What happened to the people who went into the land of Israel when God told them to return to the desert? They lived peacefully for many years. They lost their battle against the Amorites. They were punished and did not get water for 1 week. Or they were able to enter the land, but they had bad luck for 40 years. That's right, they lost their battle. Why were the lands of Edom, Moab, and Ammon off limits? They belonged to the descendants of Esau and Lot. Their armies were too strong. They did not have access to kosher food, or the weather was too hot. That's correct. They were descendants. Great job! You got them all correct. Thank you for watching my Parsha video. Have a good Shabbos!